Hi, it's Jason, and today I want to talk about a few things, and they're probably just going to come out of my face as I keep talking, and so I'm just going to do that. I'm trying to scoot up right now, so that's why I'm bouncing. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is a dream that I had when I was in Bolivia, because it's probably one of the most, like, I don't want to say, like, enlightening or, like, I don't know, impactful dreams on me, but it was just a really cool dream that I think has like some worth in telling. So yeah, I'll just talk about it. So it began with me driving out of my neighborhood, which is how a lot of my just stories in general begin. Like, because in Colorado you have to. I guess I'm giving out that I live in Colorado. I feel like it's not too bad. It's a big state, so I don't know how you'll. That's not the point. But anyways, so I'm driving out of my neighborhood, and I just picked up this one girl I used to hang out with earlier in the year, and like this wasn't like a girlfriend or anything, but it was just this one person I used to hang out with, and I picked her up, and there's this curvy road that exits my neighborhood, and I on one of the curves I like skidded on like the side of the curb and I like screwed up the side of my car and um in the dream like when you're in a dream you think it's reality like so I was like already getting slightly nervous but I still kept on driving for some unknown reason in the dream and hey uh hang on yeah so I screwed up the side of the car and the girl starts freaking out in the car as like one would when they I don't know when you screw up driving. But like because I kept driving, she started reacting in like just the way that a normal person would. They freaked out and they started calling the cops. And I skidded again on the side, and this time the car like went over the side of like onto the grass, like over the median, and the car was already kind of busted. Like the bumper was screwed up, and I think the tire, like something, like, it wasn't drivable at that point after I like skidded over the curb. Um, and at this point, like I'm reacting the way I probably would in reality, where I was like, "Oh my god, I'm freaking out! Like I don't know what to do." I maybe this isn't exactly how I think I would conduct myself in a situation like that because what I did next in the dream was I ran away from the scene and near my neighborhood there's a pond at this little medical center that's for senior citizens that live in the area, and there's a dock that leads out onto the pond. And I ran up to there, and I got there quite quickly in the dream. Like it was just like car crash, freak out. Suddenly I was like running to the pond, and I was there in like no time. And suddenly, like I noticed as I was standing on the dock in the dream, I realized something was kind of off, and I also realized like if this is real, my life is totally screwed right now, and so I was like, well, I guess I might as well do something drastic to prove that this is real. So in the dream, I dove off of the pretend this is the dock. I dove off the dock into the pond like this, and the pond's right here, and I don't know, it was like a 10 foot or less drop, but my view from the dream was I was my eyes were just like falling towards the water, and instead of hitting the water, I was teleported back up to where I jumped, and I kept falling, and I kept falling and falling and falling and falling, and you know the game Portal or Portal Two, whatever, like any game that has portals has like this happen where if you have two portals and or it's just two portal openings but for one portal and you fall into this one and you drop from the top one and you just keep falling in that loop. That happened as I was falling towards this pond, and I was again like my view was only of my eyes like facing the water, and so I just kept on seeing this water come rushing towards me, flat, clear, uninterrupted water. Like because I hadn't been touching it, like I was just falling towards it and then beaming back up, and it kept on getting faster and faster, and uh, the inner monologue in my head is wait, this definitely isn't real now. Like, this never happens in real life. Like, the logical part of my brain kicked in. And anywho, suddenly I realized in that dream that I was in control. Like, I became aware that this wasn't reality that I was experiencing in the dream. Like, I realized that the dream I was experiencing wasn't actually real, because in a dream you think things are real. And I started lucid dreaming. And I remember in my head I was like, "You're in control." And suddenly, like, as I was, and this was all as I was falling, like this inner monologue or dialogue or just thoughts in general. Um, this fall started to slow, and suddenly I was just floating above the lake, just like above it, like 5-10 feet above the water, just kind of just floating like in a ball, like. And I was flying, and I hadn't had a dream where I was flying in so long. Like, I think flying is like a huge sign of lucid dreaming, or at least profound. Like, maybe not profound. It's just like some of the coolest stuff you can do in a dream. And anyways, my first thought in the dream that was now a lucid dream was I called my best friend, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I'm flying." And he responded in a way that, like, he probably would in real life. Like, he was like, "What? No, no, you're not." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, dude. Like, you gotta." I'm trying. I'm gonna try not to cuss, just because, like, this is YouTube, and I I don't know. I just don't want to cuss for that sake, or for the sake of you folks watching. Okay, I'm spending too much time on that. But yeah, no, I called my best friend, and I eventually convinced him to come. And in that time, I started just manipulating things all around the dream. Like, I started changing the color, like, spectrum around me. Like, the grass and trees, I manipulated from, like, the colors that were originally green. I changed them to, like, pinks and purples, reds, uh, blues, like, a lot of purple. And I started, like, expanding the pond into, eventually it turned into a lake, and I eventually, like, summoned, or I guess it was summoned, because I don't remember calling anyone else besides my best friend, but I got everyone I know to join in on this, like, paradise that I was creating through the dream. And, like, I had one part of the lake be, like, ice, and one part was just, like, an average, like, lake house, like, dream scene where it's just, like, there's a dock you can jump off, there's a weeping willow you can swing into. The details here aren't very important, but the fact is, like, I think the most important part of this dream is the fact that it was, like, I realized I was in control, and this is important to me because ever since, like, senior year of high school, I really doubted free will, and I still kind of doubt the free part of that word, or maybe not sure which. I'm not going to edit this, so. But, like, free will, I'm not sure how it would be read on the screen right now, because I'm not sure if this is going to be mirrored or flipped the other way. Well, that's not important, though. But yeah, no, my vision of what free will was kind of destroyed, or at least, like, the fact that my own beliefs of my decisions being my own had been shattered senior year. And I was, not that, like, I was still, like, not that I was depressed because of it, but it was definitely, like, a isolating kind of feeling when it came to thinking, like, internally about who I am and what I do and what my decisions are. So, wow, it's really hard to keep my train of thought as I look at this camera. Like, that's the one thing I got to work on. Anyways, but yeah, no, like, this dream, along with a lot of just the ways I've been thinking recently, like in the last year and a half, because I've been reading on self-improvement and just biographies of people that I'm inspired by, that I want to be like. Your mindset seems to be the most important thing that you come into life with, or come into situations in your life with, and it's going to change no matter what. It's, like, unstoppable. But the fact is, you can manipulate it, and you can kind of facilitate the change that it goes through. And again, like the existential part of me is like, oh, you didn't choose to think about this. Like you were exposed to this stimulus that caused you to do this, and eventually, now you're thinking like, oh, you do make your own decisions. But the fact is, like, I think it's a good thing that I made that change, or that I've come to that change as a person, like believing that my thoughts are actually my own. And it sounds really simple. Like I feel weird just saying this because, I mean, I feel like most people who don't think too deeply about like free will or just introspective ideas like that, a lot of them are just like, oh yeah, I totally make my own decisions, and they don't have any more thoughts after that. And I actually think that might be better. Like I'm not sure if me, like, as a human being really needs to think about the existential crisis that humanity is in, or just like that I'm in. Like it's because the thing about like existential thought is that like you kind of get in loops, and you realize that there's no really true answer for what you believe except for what you feel at the moment. And that leads me to what I believe is the actual truth of the world, which is that the now is all that there is. And or it's the only thing that you can, how do I how do I say this? It's, for me personally, I think that the only thing that is real is the now, and it specifically the now that I am experiencing right now, or at least that's how I'm interpreting it. Like the past doesn't exist. Like I'm not saying it never existed, but it clearly doesn't exist now. Does that make sense? Because that's that we as beings and as a consciousness, we exist within the now, and we perceive everything within the now. Like the future that you see for yourself exists within the now, and the past that you see of yourself, like the memories you have, those memories are being perceived by your brain within the now, or by you within the now. Like I'm not gonna make any calls that your brain is like definitely making the calls, because who knows? Like maybe your brain actually doesn't exist, and like this is just like this is kind of the Matrix idea. Like you're actually experiencing something just like fed to you. In that movie, they were still being fed through like into their brains, but I hope you get what I'm saying. But yeah, no, this dream like kind of just confirmed how the feeling of having my own decisions and being in control of my reality, like, one, it feels great, and two, yeah, no, I think it's just like a healthier way to look at the world, because if you take the other side, which is determinism, it's kind of sad knowing like, hey, I didn't make any of these decisions. I'm just here to observe the ride of my life. Actually, okay, that's kind of a nice way to put it. But I feel like it's way easier to. Actually, I took a philosophy course on this, and we had to write papers about free will, determinism, and compatibilism. Compatibilism is like the one in between. It like allows both of them to exist or coexist. I wouldn't say it's like a free will, but it's more like, actually this is kind of where I lie now. But it's pretty much that the like free will is that you make all of your decisions independent of external like inputs. It's like I chose to be this exactly regardless of where I was born or like outside stimulus, I guess. And then determinism is the opposite, which is that there's no moral responsibility because everything that has ever happened in the universe ever has happened because of like the Big Bang. Like it's all just a huge domino effect, and it's all led to this moment right now. So yeah, compatibilism then brings up how you, like the you that makes decisions and stuff, is compatible with like the you that makes decisions, like the will, if you will, is compatible with the domino effect of the universe. Like you are one with it, and yeah, I know I like that idea of that we're one with everything. Like I'm a huge fan of Alan Watts, and he's all about how everything's everything, we're all one in the universe, and it's all one happening, and it all begins right now, and that now is the only thing that exists. Or maybe that's just me talking. I'm not saying Alan Watts said now is the only thing that exists, but he does touch on it a lot. Actually, maybe he totally is. I haven't watched his stuff and I haven't reviewed it. I'm just speaking candidly right now. But yeah, no, it's cool to observe how your dreams reflect your own beliefs, and they can show things that you don't even believe. Excuse me. But yeah, no, I just thought it'd be cool to share that. Yeah, I think that's all I really have to say right now. Yeah, I might make another video tonight, but if not, subscribe. I'm so not used to saying that. But yeah, have a good night, guys, or a good morning or afternoon, whenever you guys watch this. If you guys watch this, or wait, yeah, you are watching this if you're listening to this, or you're listening to this if you're listening to this. I guess the words I'm saying are the main content here, because I doubt you're just here to watch my face like while it's muted, unless you do that. In that case, that's cool. I'm talking way too much, but so long.